used to really love expireds. Those aren't existing right now in my market and a lot of other markets. So my opinion, the non-owner occupied is like the next best thing. It's the new expired. In the last basically month, I'll have almost about 8 million in closings of non-owner occupied, and most of them I'm double ending too. So it's double the fun. I get.
All right, today I have Becker, the man, the myth, the legend up in Santa Barbara. We've done a great job with new agents on a video previously, but today I want to talk to you about absentee owners, the non-owner occupied. And Avi's been having some great success. So let's get some real world advice from the man, the myth, the legend right here. Avi.
Let's jump right in. Every agent who follows you, who doesn't even know you yet, who's watching this for the first time, if you're not doing absentee, non-owner occupied prospecting, you're missing out on a huge chunk of change in a market where each deal is ever more precious. I don't care if you're in a market like Santa Barbara or an expanding market or a city market. As agents, we know how valuable listings are. And right now, this is an absolute listing gold mine for those, even for those younger agents like myself who maybe don't have a huge network of houses that you sold and repeat sellers. This is what you need to be doing right now. Patrick turned me on to this strategy, I want to say, in the summertime of 2021. I've always been a prospector and a cold caller, and I used to really love expireds. Those aren't existing right now in my market and a lot of other markets. So my opinion, the non-owner occupied is like the next best thing. It's the new expired. And in the last basically month, I'll have almost about 8 million in closings of non-owner occupied, and most of them I'm double ending too. So it's double the fun. I get to bring the buyer. My buyers are so grateful. They don't have to compete a lot of times against 50 other offers. And you get a double commission, and it's a win-win for everybody involved.
Can you kind of share a little bit, maybe one or two stories about kind of how this works? Like, how did you get, from making cold calls, talking to absentee owners, just kind of thinking this through to today? Now you're super inspired by it and feeling really confident.
So in the summertime of 2021, I was looking at my like buyer and seller sheet, like who are my next buyers, who are my next sellers, and I was like, oh my buyer sheet is off the charts long. My seller sheet is so small, and I'm like, who am I going to call next? And I just remember pulling up Zillow for rent and seeing a rental that I was like, oh, I know this complex well. It's a newer construction townhouse complex. I'm like, I'm just going to call this lady. It listed for rent, by owner on Zillow. It shows that. I'll be like, I have a buyer for this one. And like, she's probably renting it, but who knows? I call her. We have a great conversation. She's like, yeah, I'm probably looking to rent it out. But thanks for keeping me in touch. I'll save your number. Here's my contact info. I send her some comps. I send her CMA, and she finds tenants. And a month later, she tells me her tenants are leaving. They actually decided to buy a place. They're breaking the lease, and she's like, I'm fed up with tenants. I want to sell this place. 1031 exchange it, and I'm like, let's rock and roll. So,
Yes.
Staged multiple offers. My teammate brought the buyer. 50K over asking price on a 950 purchase price. And I was like, oh my God, these people are the people I should be chatting with, because I was doing a lot of cold circle dialing, and anyone that owns their house, I tell them, hey, your neighbor house just sold, for 50K, 100K, 300K over asking. And they're like, that's awesome. I'm stoked to have this equity, but I love Santa Barbara. I live here. I've been here for 10 years. Like, if I sell and try to stay in town, I'm kind of screwed. And I don't want to leave town and go to Texas. And so I'm like, okay, these people aren't the highest likelihood to sell. But who is high likelihood? It's seller A and B who've owned this investment property for 5 years. They don't live in town, so they don't understand what the Santa Barbara market's been doing. I can bring them value, and I usually have a buyer even. So if they want to look at an offer, it's like, these are the people I should be talking to. So since then, since the summertime, I've been going really hard every day trying to get an hour or two. Patrick, we're using Property Radar. I'm talking to people straight from Zillow. It doesn't really matter how you get the numbers, but if you're not doing it for an hour or two, this is 6 figures in commission that are just going to be for Q1 for me. So it's like,
love it. I will say this. I think everybody's overcomplicating it. This is a pretty easy conversation to have. It's very simple. So I just would love to get any ideas or anything from you on scripting, best practices. What do you got?
I've been teaching this to some of the other agents in Tom Ferry and in my network. And the huge thing for me was it's a mindset shift. You're not going for the listing. You're just providing value. You're saying, hey, Patrick, I see you're a real estate investor. How is the investment going? Are you up to date? Do you understand current market rents? Have you had any thoughts of exchanging or cashing out? Like, how can I provide value? I'm going to give you the menu of options. If you need help with property management, I know good property managers. If you're under market value rent, here's some rent comps. And if you're looking to sell, here's where the market's at. And then instead of being a salesy, use or car salesman, whatever, use car salesman. It's like, Patrick, you're the real estate investor. You live in Colorado, you live in Florida, and you're like, dang, now I got a guy in Santa Barbara who's got my back and who's providing value. And if I do decide to sell, I'm working with him for sure, because he's not just hunting me for a listing. I'm calling you and saying, how's this property going? I see you own it as a rental. how long have you had it for? What's the future game plan? Are you looking to pick up more investment properties? I've had
Right.
that conversation, and now I have some investors that I'm showing some off market stuff to because they're like, hey, I'm never selling this one, but if you have another off market deal, I want to see it.
Yep.
So script should not be, hey, I'm realtor.
Yeah. When do you plan on selling it? At what price would you become a seller? No.
Totally. I'll role play it with, this is my intro. I say, hey, Patrick, this is Avi from Berkshire Hathaway. I'm sorry for the random call. I know you probably get hit up by 100 robocalls and random calls, but do you still own Banana Street?
Yes.
Okay, amazing. Hey, have you had any thoughts about making any moves on that one, or is it up to current market value rent? How is that going? Do you have good situation with the tenants? Those kind of questions.
Yep.
You always ask how long the tenants are in place, if they're on month to month. Because a lot of some of those ones, I just sold one, I double ended it for $7.99, and they were like, hey, our tenants are in place for 6 months, but reach out then. And then put that in your calendar, reach out. Our tenants are leaving. We're ready to sell. Let's get it going.
Just, for awareness, you guys everybody out there, if you start looking on the MLS and you start seeing the properties that are being listed, start to notice which ones were probably previously a rental, right? Carly just, put a condo under contract, past client, owns a couple of condo rentals. She called her up, listed the property. It's like, let's talk about data, right? Mm-hmm. So I shout out to Lisa Peck, one of my clients, and she was complaining to me. She's like, oh my God, I called all these phone numbers. No one answered the phone, blah, blah, blah. But you'll get a kick out of this. She 72 phone numbers that she called inside of 90 minutes. A bunch didn't answer, left a few voicemails, a bunch of wrong numbers. A bunch of people were mad at her. And then 2 good conversations. One went really well, but they didn't want to sell. And then one was like, yeah, send me some comps. I'd love to sell. Totally. I was like, that is amazing.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
Who cares about the number of no's? Who cares about the numbers of F-offs? Like, who cares about just track the number of appointments and conversations you have? I think it's kind of a cop-out to just say, oh, yeah, nobody wants to chat with me on the phone. Like, if you have a good script, you're coming with value and confidence, people are going to tell you to kick rocks. But then, the people you just get their contact with, you're building your database, you're sending them your market updates. I'm a big fan of both the Sierra market update once a month and HomeBot. Just keep them on the drip campaign once a month or something like that. And I think also a huge thing too is having good partnerships with, a lot of people don't even know what a 1031 exchange is. They're mom and pop owners. So I have a great 1031 contact that I can intro them to just learn about that process. Having good people that help with property management, or if you do property management yourself, if you know someone is charging way under market rent, you can just say, hey, do you know that other people in the complex are getting $1,000 more a month than you? Just being able to lay out the menu of items.
Tell them about the commercial, the guy that does the triple net lease stuff. Oh, that was sweet too.
Yeah, we were going to record a video together. His name's Nolan. He's a younger guy, and he serves the Central Coast right in the market, and he focuses on commercial leasing and sales. So, if someone's like, oh, what would I 1031 exchange into, and be like, hey, have you ever thought about, you could take $1 million condo sale and buy on the Central Coast, a huge chunk of a triple net, commercial center where you have hands off. A lot of these landlords that I'm calling, they're north of like 60, 70 years old. They used to own Santa Barbara, they've moved, or they own a handful of properties and they just want cash flow, retirement money with being hands off. So it's like, how much value can you provide to these non-owner occupied landlords? It's going to correlate with how many listings you get, I believe.
Yes.
It's not just being a shark and just fishing. You're going to be like,
so beautiful.
It's perfect too, because also if they don't live in town, or if they haven't been in the real estate game for a while, you're not going to, on the listing appointment, you're not competing with 5 other agents who might have more experience than you. It's like, this guy called me. I haven't even lived in Santa Barbara for 10 years. I just own the property I used to live in, and he's my guy now.
Yep. I love it. That's brilliant.
Not doing
I love it. That's brilliant. The sad thing is, obvious, a bunch of agents out there are going to be like, well, I need more information. I need the scripts. That's not what they need. Yeah. They need to really make those calls, have those conversations. They do need to map your value proposition, the stuff that you were just discussing, right? Yeah. How to sell a house is easy. A listing presentation of what to do to sell a house is easy, but how do you serve the customer? So it's like, what does the relocation seller need? What does the 1031 exchange absentee owner need right now? Yeah. And now that you've kind of mapped that conversation with them, your confidence through the roof and the results are showing. So,
and I wanted to add this too, because once you've started to have conversations, or maybe, I have like 2 or 3 listings signed that will probably come on in the next 3 or 6 months. When you're at an open house and, you're talking with people, you hit them with the classic Patrick goldmine line. Hey, has anyone taken the time to show you all the homes that aren't on the market? They're like, what are you talking about? And you're like, well, for the past 3-6 months, I've been calling almost every day people that own a home in Santa Barbara that don't live in it. And a lot of them are thinking of selling in the near future. And I like to give my clients the first go at those. here's what I got coming for you. I literally have a listing of signing day for 1.35, and I met a client who's probably going to buy it at the open house I held last week. It's like, I like this condo townhouse. And I was like, I have the person for you. I called them back up. We're signing the listing today, and I'll hopefully get them in like in the next couple of weeks. It's just like,
Boom.
in this market, when you have the knowledge and you have the off markets and you have the non-owner occupied, it gives you the power to just dominate with buyers. And I mean, a lot of people, they don't need more buyer clients right now, but still, like, it's the power right now to really level up compared to the other agents in the marketplace.
Love it, man. That is so awesome. Okay. And you're killing it. Everybody should be following you on your YouTube, your Instagram, and your TikTok right now. You're doing an awesome job with their social. If you have anybody in Santa Barbara and you either buying, selling, make sure you contact Avi and then follow him on the social channels. Avi, anything else on absentee owner? This was brilliant. That's enough for me in terms of awesomeness
Totally.
that everybody should get.
If you're in Pat's network and you want to connect personally with me, and like I can show you how we're doing this property radar search, how to do it by zip code. Like if you want more in-depth information, I'd love to chat with anyone in your network, because Patrick taught me this thing. I feel ultimately super grateful for all the learning you're giving me. I just run the plays you told me to run. So if you know Patrick, just do what he says and you're going to win, honestly, at the end of the day.
Rock and roll, man. Hey, appreciate you. And we'll catch up with you on the next one.
Yeah.